we have three main risks, okay, that we should consider. So if I'm the CEO of a company, I should ask myself, do I have climate change risk? Okay, what does it mean? Do I have transition risk? Do I have physical risk? Do I have biodiversity risk? So transition risk, it means that the sector in which I operate is a sector that shall transition because of regulatory pressure, shall transition because of market pressure, but it should shift towards a different technology. Okay, the easiest example is an oil and gas company that might have a decrease in demand in the next 10 years, so they're already planning ahead to change the service they do provide and the technology behind it. The physical risk is the example I just made. So it's not depending on what you do, it's depending on where you are and where are your operations. And it is about how high and how vulnerable is your operation to climate change risk. Here, the EU Commission has published a lot of methodology. There is an international panel for climate change under UN that gives you the methodology. There are a lot of open source data too, and there are different methodologies to understand your exposure to physical risk. So the example is the flooding I mentioned earlier, or an hurricane that might impact your buildings, your physical assets, or let me say your suppliers. The last one, the biodiversity risk, is a bit less discussed, but it is becoming more and more relevant, also because EU Union is accelerating on this topic, and it's about the potential loss of natural capital and biodiversity that might indirectly or directly impact business. The most simple could be that if you are a fishing industry and there are no any more fishes in the sea, or regulatory pressure because of the risk of the marine fishing loss and whatever the EU might impose to do not navigate in certain seas, and you are shipping in those seas, so you might have an impact. Or it could be that you are in the food industry, and you have you need to push artificially the pollination, for instance. So there are different aspects of biodiversity impacts that are, let me say, stronger in the agriculture and food industry, but not only limited to that, because of regulation. After, we could have a land use limitation, a supply chain limitation. So just to say that probably the last why, the climate change risk, is the most relevant, and the one that should be taken care of with, let me say, more urgently.